In India, English faced a country of intense and elaborate civilizations, a magnificent empire, initially much greater than its own. And it faced an enormous challenge if it was to establish itself in a country which today boasts over 1,000 million people and 200 different languages, including Hindi, Sanskrit, Bengali, Gujarati, Marathi, Punjabi, Kashmiri and Urdu. But establish itself, it did. And here in Calcutta, the signs are still, literally, all around me. We gave English words to India, and some words from our experience in India have fed back into English, most of them from Hindi. Familiar words like blighty, bungalow, cheroot, loot, ghoul, thug, pundit, coolie, kashmir, dungarees, bandana, jodhpurs, pyjamas, cot, divan, shampoo, cash, toddy, deco, gymkhana, polo, bangle, jungle, cushy, khaki, doolally, dinghy, catamaran, caste, swastika, juggernaut, avatar, guru, karma, mantra, yoga and sacred cow. All these and many more were adopted from the subcontinent. Trade contacts through the early Middle Ages brought the first words from Asia into the English language, often through Latin or Greek, which absorbed them and passed them on. Words like pepper, beryl, ginger, panther, sugar, musk, sandal, camphor and opal all seem to have their roots in languages spoken on the subcontinent, and especially in Sanskrit. But the close relationship between English and India really began at the start of the 17th century, when the East India Company was granted a monopoly charter to seek out and trade with the rich spice markets of the East. This was a collision of cultures between the British merchant adventurers and the potentates of Oriental society. And in order to prosper, the English had to learn the lexicon of power and degree and to curry favour. Obsequiousness mattered. The English at that time were amateurs in class and social distinctions compared with a culture which included Maharaja, Mandarin, Nabob, Shah, Mughal, Khan, Raja, Padishah, Lama, Sayyid, Sultana and Maharani. The English had to kowtow and learn Bengali and Hindi to survive, and they did. In India, after years of negotiation, begging and buttering up the Mughal rulers in their own Persian tongue, they were allowed to set up trading posts, factories at Madras, Bombay and amid the opulence of Surat. At the end of the 17th century, the English established another factory here in a tiny village on the banks of the River Hooghly, which would become one of the world's greatest trading cities, Calcutta. What brought the English to India was a commodity that they could turn a profit on around the markets of the East, a commodity that India was famous for then and now, cloth. In India, the English found a variety of brightly coloured printed and woven fabrics, delicate muslins, chintzes, calicos and ginghams. When these reached Britain, they became an instant success, and their names as familiar as they are today. India and Britain. It was the start of a relationship that would be enduring, passionate, and often marred by misunderstanding and violence. English had planted its foot firmly on Indian soil, but it had hardly announced its presence with a fanfare. The East India Company prospered, but in this vast country, its English-speaking employees were numbered in hundreds, not thousands. Some of the senior employees were encouraged to go native, take local wives, and adopt local habits and dress. And when they wanted to conduct business, they had to learn the local languages. For most Britishers, this was a matter of commercial necessity, but there were others who had a more scholarly interest in India's languages. One of these British students of the Orient made a discovery which rewrote the history of the English language. English had traced its roots back to the dialects of the Germanic invaders from Frisia in the 5th century, as we did at the start of this series, but no further. But in 1784, William Jones, who was in India in his capacity as Supreme Court judge, founded the Asiatic Society of Bengal to encourage inquiry into the history, civil and natural, the antiquities, arts, sciences and literature of Asia. And when Jones started to look at the ancient language of Sanskrit, a language written down 2 or 3 centuries before the Iliad and the Odyssey, he discovered what was effectively the prequel of the adventure of English. He discovered that one of the deepest roots of English was here in India. Jones made the startling discovery that there were similarities between words in Sanskrit and the younger languages of Greek, Latin, English and others. Where Sanskrit had Pita, Latin had Pater, Old Norse Father, Gothic Father and English Father. The Sanskrit Brata, Latin Frater, German Bruder, Slavic Bratu, Irish Brother, and of course English Brother. Even the forms of verb looked similar. English am, Old English yom, Gothic im, Latin sum, Greek emi, Sanskrit asmi. English is, Gothic ist, Latin est, Greek esti, and Sanskrit asti. Jones decided that this was evidence that they were all descended from one Indo-European language, and his work was the foundation of modern philology, the study of languages. English had acquired a new past, here at the headquarters of the Asiatic Society. It was just one of the new buildings with which the British were reshaping Calcutta. By 1765, the balance of power had shifted. The Mughal empires had collapsed, and the East India Company took over the administration and financial control of Bengal, India's richest province. Calcutta was becoming a colonial capital, a centre of commercial, political and social life. Here, the relationship between Indian and British became one of servant and master. A dangerous climate of feeling was developing that it was the duty and destiny of the British to govern in India. They were no longer going native, marrying Indian women, adopting Indian customs and learning local languages. They began to see themselves as superior to the native population, and the essence of their superiority was their religion.